Hi, there's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Tuesday Not Brewsday. So I haven't done a Tuesday Brewsday in a bit. It's been a couple weeks, and it mainly has to do with the fact that it's a very tough. I kind of got done with the deck that I was playing around with. It does very terrible versus Gruul, which is funny because now I'm not going up against Gruul whatsoever. Now I think I might actually play this in Mythic. The brew that we were working on with the Grey Merchant, because it still does very well against Yorion decks, and that's all. It's Yorion and Rogues seem to be the most played deck. Mono White would be up there, Mono Red, but it's kind of interesting. I'm not seeing Gruul and Mythic that much here in MTG Arena, at least the best of one. So anyway, I finally got frustrated sticking in Platinum forever. It was basically with Rogue decks, Platinum's about the threshold I was able to get, and I just decided, I had a daily that was cast blue and black spells, so I made a Dimir control deck and decided to see where it went, and went like 7-0 with it, and went all the way into Diamond. I'm like, okay, we'll see how far we can take this, and it wasn't very long until I hit Mythic with this deck. So I actually need to change some of my opinions about cards. Embercleave and Great Henge are actually pretty bad versus Dimir. And it's kind of a weird situation we're in. I still think they're terrible design cards. I don't like them in the format because they push out archetypes I think could actually compete with Dimir or Yorion. And that's kind of the damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario is, do I lose to Yorion or do I lose to Embercleave? And you have to pick your poison because they attack on such extreme axes where the Yorion deck is just going to grind you out with just card advantage and answer and card advantage. And they have printed so many cards that just interact very well with the Yorion, and there's just an answer for anything in the Dimir colors. You got counter spells that are arguably one of the better counter spells existing, at least since clear back and Return to Ravnica. I mean, Disallow I think would be possibly better than what we have now, but Neutralize is a very good counter spell. We have some good counter spells in the form of even the Mystic I can't think of the card of Theros. That is even an option that's very reasonable to put in here. But black is really where it's at. We have some of the best removal spells ever printed for standard in the form of Eliminate and Heartless Act and Blood Chief's Thirst. Hagar's Mauling is interesting, being the land and the ability to destroy a creature. And it really the card that really puts this deck over the top is Extinction Event. Extinction Event turns some matchups that might be tough for you to beat, and then gives you that answer to at least odds or evens. And typically, you're going to find against the adventure decks, odds is really good, and against mono white, evens is really good. You can exile the indestructible creature and whatnot. So, where was I going with this entire rant here with standard? So I thought I'd see just exactly how far Dimir could get, which is very interesting because I don't see people playing Dimir. And maybe it is because Yorion is slightly better. I think that Yorion's better versus Rogues, but Dimir is better versus Mono Red for sure. And because you don't have the clunkiness of Yorion. However, Dimir versus Yorion is a very tricky matchup. It depends on how the Yorion is built, whether we're favorable or not favorable. And like I said, Dimir is just this version of Dimir Control is a lot weaker versus Rogues, but stronger versus some of the all-in aggro decks like Gruul and Mono Red. So I don't think that Yorion is necessary to go into Control Shell, and this is what I came up with by not building a Yorion-based deck. So the best card in the deck, hands down, is the Maze Mind Tome. This card is just obscene. The amount of value, it helps grind you card advantage versus control decks, and that 4 life is so pivotal versus aggro decks. The 4 life is clutch. You basically have a starting life total of 24. You're going to get a lot of scries out of this. This is also a card that's so good in Best of One Arena because here comes Conspiracy Hat. People tell me I'm crazy with this, but just after playing this so much, Arena likes to give you 2 landers. No matter how many lands you put in your deck, Arena and Best of One likes to give you 2 landers. So having a Maze Mind Tome in the mix where you can cast it on turn number 2 and then start scrying for your next lands and hitting those land drops is just really, really good. And then being able to, worst case scenario, scry 4 times and gain 4 life to find the exact amount of cards you need for whatever scenario is thrown at you, I think is what sets this. It's making control viable, and I actually think that this card was a poorly designed card. It breaks the color pie. I've seen like mono red decks and mono red control decks and mono black decks be able to utilize this. But look, we're a blue black. Blue black is traditionally very good in card draw, and Maze Mind Tome is still our best card draw in the form of an artifact. I think this should have been a red flag right off the bat. Possibly they should have attached blue to this. Maybe made it cost 1 in the blue, and still had to be an artifact and have this ability. But it's very, very, like, this is a color pie breaking card that is making it tough for aggro to compete right now in the mix when you actually pair it with some of the best removals ever printed and some of the best control spells. So let's just talk about what this deck includes. So Clean to Dust is pretty good. This is a card that also does very good against versus like rogues. Not aggro, it's okay, but it's very good versus mid-range and control because this is another card that can help grind out the match. Bloodchief's Thirst is just a powerhouse of a card. Being able to destroy a converted mana cost 2 or less for 1 mana, so you're basically netting up in the CMC war, and as well as being able to kick it for just 2 and a black to destroy an Ugin, or destroy any planeswalker or creature at that point, is huge. Sorcery speed is a little bit awkward for this card, but nonetheless, what makes this card so good is how low the cost is. 4 mana at that point in time, you're going to be able to destroy things that are 6, 7, 8 mana in converted mana cost, which is huge for a card. Then we have the control as far as Essence Scatter. I like to run a lot of 1-ofs, so like a 1 of Essence Scatter, a 1 of Negate, a 1 of Jawari's Disruption, a 1 of Thassa's Intervention, a 1 of Brazen Borrower, a 1 of Murderous Rider, and I've decided to include 2 Neutralizes in this deck. You want 2 good hard counter spells you can rely on. Then the format is still very ridden with aggro. So mono red, mono white, you're still going to go up against, I would say, 30%, 40%, maybe even higher of specifically those 2. And the reason why I'm going to lump them in the same category is you have the exact same answers for those. I mean, they're going to play out very similarly. Mono white needs to get like a Maul of the Skyclave out. Red needs to get an Embercleave or like a Torburn out. And if you can shut them down from having those cards, they're going to be easy just to 1-for-1 and then grind out with like the Maze Mind Tomes and other draw spells. The other matchups you're going to be going against is in a huge chunk of that can be rogues. Every now and again, you'll see some sort of ramp deck. Usually it's going to be team or ramp. There's some Winota decks running around in Mythic with the +1 counter Winotas. And then the big one is going to be Yorion. So this deck is going to have some dead spells versus Yorion, and that's why I like to run Fae of Wishes. So Fae of Wishes is not only an awesome card in Best of 1 because it utilizes your sideboard, but this is the ability to discard your eliminates your Heartless Axe for cards out of the sideboard that are going to be relevant versus whatever particular matchup you are going against. Then we have on the high end for the finishers, we have the Ashok Nightmare Muse, which is really, really good when you can control the board. And then we also have the Lochmere Serpent, which does very good against rogues, and it's actually pretty good against Gruul. It's typically not bad even versus like mono white. Flashing of the Sin is usually a removal spell, and it can take care of your opponent quickly. It's just 3 attacks, you win the game. Shark Typhoon is the other win condition in this deck. A lot of decks can't recover from just slamming a Shark Typhoon. And we are going to be running a lot of lands here. So it's going to be 1 Castle Vantress, 1 Castle Locktwain, 6 Islands, 6 Swamps, 4 Clearwater Paths, 2 Temple of Cystis, and 2 Field of Ruins. So you have the Haggard Maulings and the Jawari Disruptions in here that are typically used as lands unless we need them as control. And that puts us up to 12, 13. Let's see. So we have 8, 14, 15, 21, 22, 23, 24 lands, which is exactly what this deck wants to do. It has a lot of low drops to get us to hit those land drops, and many people might think this is a little bit low for like a control deck, but you're going to be constantly hitting. I mean, our curve is incredibly low with this, and we're going to be naturally hitting our land drops and then throwing those out. I used to have the cycle land in here, but I didn't want many lands that come into play tapped. The Castle of Vantress and Locktwain oftentimes come into play tapped. The Temple of Deceit is going to scry 1, which I think is better than cycling. We typically want all of our lands. So cycling lands, yes, it's really good way late, but at that point we might have something we can just put in 3 mana anyway, to like a Castle Locktwain, or 4 mana into a Castle Locktwain to be able to draw a card. So the scry is just free at that point. I've added Field of Ruin. This could be either the Field of Ruin or the Manland, but Field of Ruin is the answer to the Manland. Oftentimes our removal is pretty weak against it. We have a Murderous Rider, we have 2 Haggard Maulings, and we have 2 Eliminates. The Bloodchief's Thirst and the Heartless Axe cannot deal with it, and neither can Extinction Event. So adding these to the form of lands, I think, is also something that I'm going to try out to see. A lot of the Crawling Barrens is winning a lot of matchups in that Yorion. Usually I take care of like the first, second, and the third or fourth get me. So having Field of Ruin, I'm hoping is going to slightly put me above edge for that matchup. And it isn't a bad matchup. It's pretty 50-50. It's who gets the jump first. Yorion can grind out the matchups, but we can also grind out the matchups with like the Fae of Wishes getting a lot of cards, our utility lands getting a lot of value, and whatnot. So sideboard. Sideboard, you want options for the Fae of Wishes. Again, this is a best of 1 deck, so we don't have to worry about really having cards in here for particular matchups. So another negate that we can grab, an Elspeth Nightmare for exiling graveyards, a Necromentia for ripping out Dream Trawlers or Ugins, or against the Shrine deck, you can rip out the Shrines. Pestilence Haze, against any sort of go wide creature-based strategy. Sometimes you go against like Scoot Swarm stuff. It's just another option that you can grab. Soul Shatter. This one might actually get Pestilence Haze's. I'm also thinking of putting a Soul Shatter in the main because this card's actually pretty good. By getting rid of Ugins, by getting rid of like Crawling Barrens, by getting rid of their biggest creature, they hook it up to Embercleaves, you Soul Shatter it away. We're going to want an Underworld Dreams because I do have the combo in here for Underworld Dreams and Peer into the Abyss. And so you can grab this combo. It's not necessary. You can run other cards again in this form, maybe another Counterspell, maybe another card that can, fill back up your hand and whatnot. Extinction Event, you want one in your sideboard to go tutor up. Same with Shark Typhoon. These are very important cards. And so this adds like the fifth and sixth copies basically with the Fae of Wish. Is what it feels like. You have that amount of ways to get it. Another Ashiok 2 in the sideboard. Nakura, Best the Sea God, is pretty good in many of the matchups to then throw it out and then gain control of a particular threat. 2 Ugins because sometimes one isn't enough. And then Erebus Intervention. This is a very good flexible card. There are a few things with the sideboards, like putting another Cling to Dust in the sideboard seem reasonable. There's a few other cards I thought about throwing in that could go in that slot. But all in all, it's just a good old Dimir control deck. It is very, very well in the meta. Like I said, the only really bad matchup is going to be Yorion. Rogues is pretty 50-50. And the rest of the aggro decks, Gruul, Mono Red, Mono White, all the ramp-based strategies, all the rogue decks, all the combo decks are just going to be very lopsided in your favor. We're talking like 60-40 or higher. So I'm going to play a match here. Hopefully we don't get up against a Yorion because it can be very, very grindy. So I was ranked yesterday. I've fallen back, I believe, to like 98% now when I logged on because now we have the hustle of people trying to qualify. So there's only a few days left in the season. But, once again, we're able to make Mythic. I hate doing it with the control, but it's really, really strong right now. All right, this is obviously a keepable hand. We have Cling to Dust, Bloodchief's Thirst. We can just put in the Castle of Vantress because we're not going to be... Like, you could make the argument for the Swamp because you can then Cling to Dust if they play something. But Castle of Vantress is fine, just come into play tapped. I guess we had the island there. We could have come into play untapped. So it's going to be a Ruin Crab, which we can then just Bloodchief Thirst it. I am going to decide to Bloodchief Thirst it right now rather than the Tome because the first turn Ruin Crab is a huge jump because then they can start milling and then that's going to get you down into mill range. They typically do beat you with mill, not damage. So we will just slam out a Maze Mine Tome. Nope, I'm actually going to pass the turn with Disruption because they're going to probably try to flash in a Rogue here. The 2-mana Rogue. They did not. Okay. So we can still Shark Typhoon to draw a card to end a turn, which is fine. Or we can go Cling to Dust. And I think I'm just going to cling my own Bloodchief's Thirst and then draw a card. And hopefully we can hit our land drops. If we don't hit a land drop, here's where the Disruption is going to come down, which is what we're going to do. And now I'm going to slam a Maze Mine Tome. If it gets countered, it gets countered. There isn't a lot of counter spells, though, that can hit it. And this is typically a pretty good card versus Rogues, too, because you do need to keep up with card advantage because we're gonna go into a card advantage war here. And then eventually we got to get all the Drown the Locks out. What we want our opponent to mill is our Lochmere Serpent. I'm glad I don't have one in my opening hand. I am going to scry here. This might actually bait out a spell. I think Neutralize is fine. I'd rather hit a land, though. I think that we still want to hit land drops. And we do hit the land drop, and now we're going to start using the tomes to draw cards. So our opponent's being very conservative here, and not, this isn't the Lurus mode either. So yeah, it's the scavenger mode, which is fine. And we're going to Heartless Act and draw a card. So we'll go ahead and do that. And they can counter if they want. Don't really care because we'll just Extinction Event it. And the Extinction Event's like a hard card anyway to cast. And so we're just going to run it out next turn. And we got a Lofty Denial out, which is pretty good. We got our land drop. We got Extinction Event. We got a draw card. So we'll name Odd here. Get rid of this the Scavenger. And now we're doing pretty good in the War. I'd rather draw a card or hold up Negate. Like we're getting close to Into the Story. Like it's 6 mana, right? So they can just slam like an Into the Story right now to fill up their hand if they wanted to, and we can negate it. If not, we can just draw a card. Opponent is smart. They probably wait till their end step that I actually end up running it out. They're going to Cling to Dust their own card. Don't know why they didn't Cling to Dust my Cling to Dust. Kind of awkward. I guess they want my... Yeah, that's very awkward. So... Glad my opponent didn't do that, because Cling to Dust is going to do a lot of work. All right, so Ashiok I don't want to slam down. Here is just going to be throwing out another tome, and this is going to help us grind out this match. Shark Typhoon, if we can slam it down, is going to be a card that's going to be very, very tough for them to outmaneuver. So we'll just crack this tome, gain our 4 life. And now I have to make the decision, do I want to keep up Negate for Into the Story? And my opponent's like hesitating a little bit, so I think I will. So we will just Temple of Deceit here. I'd rather do the tap land right now because I'm not going to be wanting to cast anything. We'll definitely want that Rewind on top. It's a pretty powerful counterspell in this matchup. And let's see if they Into the Story end of turn. So we will negate that. I don't want my opponent having card advantage. And I'm glad I didn't tap out for the tome. So right now we're doing a pretty good job outplaying our opponent. Really hitting those signals of them kind of stalling. You start to notice that as people do give tells. Well then, so can't do anything for this Into the Story, but at least we got one Into the Story out. And we're in pretty decent shape too, with being able to slam out an Ashiok next turn. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a Rewind. Actually, we're going to slam Shark Typhoon. That's fine. They want my Rewind out. That's fine. So Rewind goes away. Extinction Event goes away. But we get a... Ooh, that's interesting. But let's not be greedy here. Let's be greedy. Actually, we can cast both. Let's be super greedy here. So we got Shark Typhoon. I am just going to go ahead and... Bloodchief's Thirst is actually interesting for... let's spend our mana, though. Instant Speed. Now, we want the Sorcery Speed one done. So we're just going to use the Sorcery Speed and just get rid of the Thief Guild. And then pass the turn. Now, our opponent's Cling to Dust is online. They can get rid of our Cling to Dust, which is probably what he should be doing with me tapped out. But it's going to go a Merfolk Wind Robber, and that's very weak against Shark Typhoon. And another Merfolk Wind Robber, which is also weak versus Shark Typhoon. And a Night Hawk Scavenger. So now we definitely want to do a Cling to Dust, especially our opponent tapped out. We can Cling to Dust, our opponent's Cling to Dust, and we are in great shape here. So let's just go ahead and run that out. Cling to Dust the Cling to Dust, and get rid of everything out of our graveyard. And I'm glad they moved the Cling to Dust over rather than target your own graveyard. You used to be able to have to worry about that. But all right, there we go. Pretty decent. And my opponent might have like a counter spell up for this Heartless Axe, so I'm okay with just holding it. And we do hit another land drop. Possibly we could go Ashiok here, and Ashiok actually does. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So Ashiok gets around the Drown the Lock. And I'm going to do a play here if it doesn't get countered by like another Lofty Denial. I'm just going to throw the Nighthawk Scavenger back and make him exile a card. That means our opponent has to recast it at Sorcerer Speed. I really don't like this version of Rogues. I think it's inferior. I know it does have some better matchups, but one of the better matchups is just in the kind of the Mirror Rogue. It's a little bit better. So Possibly a land just gets exiled, but anything getting exiled here is relevant. And it's one with a mine. That's huge. That's huge actually. And now we have blockers for Ashiok. We've set back our opponent. Heartless Act on our biggie. That's fine. It was a free card. We still have 2 blockers for Ashiok for the Merfolk Windrobber. So we would have to remove both of them. And then we'd still be fine. So they're just going to go all in on Ashiok. But my sharks do fly. And I'm going to lose them both because what are they going to do? An Agadeem's Awakening? No, they're not. Okay. So they're just going to kill it with a... Not going to kill with anything. Alrighty, so we will go ahead and throw out a 2/2. And we can go Temple of Deceit. And we'll go ahead and throw out a Maze Mind Tome, which will also grab us a 2/2. Shark. And that will be a blocker. And then we also have a Heartless Act anyway. And then we'll just pass the turn. We hit our land drop right. So I don't need to draw a card. And Drown in the Lock. That's fine. Drown in the Lock on a shark token also always feels really good. We have 2 Enter the Stories that are burned. So the draw and the other draw spell. So we will shoot off this Heartless Act right now. You could make the argument to do a big Thassa's Intervention. But we can do a Thassa's Intervention anyway. Nope, there it goes. And now we can draw 2 with the 2 tomes. And there's the scoop. Yeah, they're not coming back from it. Had a little bit of land floating on their end. 5, 6, 7, 8 lands. Didn't even bump us up a Mythic rating. That's kind of lame. But you can kind of see how it does pretty well against... That version of Rogues is a lot easier. But what I mean by a lot, I mean a lot. The Lurrus one's a little bit tougher because it's more explosive and it can generate a lot. Like you don't really suffer from Brazen Borrower. Like that is one that runs Brazen Borrower oftentimes. They also run the Ninjutsu Rogue that returns in, but we don't have any permanents a lot of times in the graveyard. They're that great. Like a Shark Tornado is the best thing. But I guess they could get away with stuff, but it's tough for them to actually tap out for that. All right, let's play another one here and see if we can get ranked with the Dimir control. Hopefully we get a ranked player. A 97%er. Nope, don't like 97%er. So I actually I calibrated at 92%. That's how terrible our rating was from all those rogue decks that we had at Platinum. So here the Brood Pit is the better play. It's the tap land. We don't have anything to do with it. Just, cut our losses with it. We can go Pathway. Yeah, Pathway's fine for blue, and then get out the Maze Mind Tome. If this is aggro, this is going to be a pretty solid Maze Mind Tome. I do want to scry first turn, especially if this is... Well, it's Robber doesn't matter because Robber's not going to trigger. So we will scry, though, because I do want to find an answer for Robber. That kind of sucks. Like, it is an answer, but we don't have the double black. So we will go ahead and draw. And that's also not that great. We don't really have much of anything. I could just go Fae of Wishes here. I actually will. So Fae of Wishes can, like, bait out a Bone Crusher Giant, which I'm okay with. And it also gets me lower than the Robber Rich stealing something. So I will block. There'll be 2 damage absorbed. Relic Robber, so we can actually block the Relic Robber. Now that's another thing I like about the Fae of Wishes. I'm going to scry again. We do want to find... don't want the Thassa's Intervention. And unfortunately, though, we don't have a good Extinction event. I could run one out, but I'm going to keep up a Rewind. Yeah, it's fine. We can keep it Rewind and then Maze Mind Tome. And hopefully our opponent overextends a little bit more. Like, they want to cast pre-main phase for the Robber, so that gives us something with the Rewind. So Shredded Sails, huh? Yep, we'll rewind that. Obviously, my opponent wants it out of the way. And get to untap all of our lands. This also gives us the ability to cast that Cling to Dust. with another draw spell. So we're in pretty good shape versus mono red here. We're, of course, going to block the Relic Robber. There could be a Bone Crusher Giant that comes down, but I'm okay with that. Yep, go ahead and just pass there. We go down to 14. And Fire Prophecy. Yep, Fire Prophecy does indeed happen. So do we try to go for a negate here? Might as well. Let's YOLO for negate. There is no YOLO for negate. But we can definitely get rid of the Shredded Sails. And probably should target my... No, it shouldn't target my own graveyard. I'm like, because if I could get a Lockmare Serpent, it's a way that I could get it back, but it doesn't matter. So see a Fire Prophecy. Our opponent probably had a land in hand. So here, we do need the black. We're going to Thirst on the Robber and hold up the Heartless. I think Cling to Dust is actually going to do us some good. So Castle Embereth here, and we'll just Heartless Act it. And we'd have a draw spell at the end. So best case scenario is my opponent puts out 2 even spells or something. So Bone Crusher Giant, and then just going to Bone Crusher Giant me. I love how they do that. A lot of times they run into gates when they do that. But I'll gain some life here in the form of Maze Mind Toman. And eliminate. Ashiok. Ashiok. Let's just be safe here. And, actually, you want to be safe? Yeah, because Embercleave's a thing. So, get rid of the Bone Crusher Giant. Pass a turn. If we can get down our opponent down to 1 card in hand, Bolt Hound. Okay. Well, you're supposed to cast 2 odds on the same turn. I can still run around Embercleave here. So, I'm going to let him cast it. All right, let's see your Embercleave. No Embercleave, huh? Then we'll just bolt you. Need 1 more mana, then we can get the Cling to Dust going. Brash Taunter. Well then, Brash Taunter. We are probably going to end up having to extinct you. So I wonder if the play is just Ashiok return it. I'm going to do this play. It might run into like a shock. But let's see what our opponent does. Okay, so it got rid of the Brash Taunter. That was the weakest card, huh? And I'm actually going to play the Jawari, because the Jawari allows us to have Cling to Dust and a Heartless Act next turn, or an Extinction Event and a Heartless Act. So there could be another Brash Taunter. Fine. At this point, what we're going to do is we are just going to delay with Brazen Borrower rather than go for Extinction Event. Because I want my opponent to actually activate Brash Taunter. Fire Prophecy, huh? That's also fine. Excuse me. Hopefully they pre-main phase. Just have double strike or anything. Let's see where it goes. If it goes to my face, okay. So yes, I am going to Brazen Borrow it back to my opponent's hand. I was going to say if it went to my face, I'd be okay with it, because then I could wait to see if my opponent casts something else, like another odd spell. I should have waited for a Castle Embereth activation, actually, there. But there was none. Now we can Cling to Dust on the Fire Prophecy, rather than getting a Brazen Borrow, I guess, is pretty much 6s. We get to draw a card. And there is the concession. So this Brash Taunter one we're going to do very well against. Sometimes, like, if they get the double night draw, it's tough with mono red, but we just have so much removal that we can usually pace them. And then the thing like Extinction Event just takes us over the top. Let's do one more here. Hopefully we get hit ranked here after this if we win with our 99 percentile. And like I was mentioning before, we calibrated at 92%. And 92% is pretty low for calibration. There's a 93% we're playing against. But if you stay at platinum like we did and just get crushed with our rogue decks with a less than 50% win rate, you have a pretty bad elo by the time you calibrate. So there is a hidden elo. Man, I don't think we actually need a Heartless Act. There is a hidden elo with your rating. Okay, now I want my Heartless Act back. I absolutely want it back. But we have Essence Scatter for the card that my opponent's going to try to put out this turn. Yep, perfect. And then next turn we have a Murderous Rider. And then we can start getting the Maze Mind Tome online. Nope, we can do it now. So, destroy target creature with converted mana cost less than 2. And get this beautiful Maze Mind Tome out. And that will fill us back up. Probably would do one Scry and draw some. It all depends here. I kind of do need to fill back up our hand. We do need to keep our opponent back from really outpacing us. That is kind of a weak card. I'm going to allow it just to happen. Yeah, we'll scry one. But the problem is, like, I kind of want everything. I don't want Fatal Wishes, so I'm glad I scried. But and we have another one anyway, because when it rains, it pours. All right, so let's see what our opponent puts out. It's like a Maul of the Skyclave. Heliod's fine. Yeah. Does that activate Heliod? We're going to do something. I wonder. So what I want my opponent to do is drop a land. And then we can get Heliod and Linden. And I can take some damage for a while. So I'm okay with this. So, oh, no land, huh? I think we're still okay. Well, I'm going to keep up everything here. Like, I want Heliod online. We'll take 9 at that point. Unfortunately now, though, I think we have to Murderous Rider it. But it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot to, what do we want to do here? I think we do want to scry. I want to land here. Perfect. Okay. So we will Extinction Event for even. Because that keeps Heliod offline. Daxos still keeps offline. I'm still okay with that Extinction Event because I didn't want to get hit by Heliod. We have Negate next turn. Oh, that's beautiful. We actually have Blood Cheese Thirst to keep it offline, and we still have a Negate. And a draw card. So that's what I'll be doing here. Linden again, huh? Okay, we're out of answers for Lindens. But we get to draw a card. And we can also do a Shark Typhoon. I can also start doing Fae of Wishes to go grab some answers, to go get another Extinction Event. Rewind is actually pretty bad. Unfortunately, my Field of Ruin, we can't get going yet. Yeah, what's up with these lands? Arena. We can trade with a Linden with the Shark Typhoon, though. Like, I want to see a Maul come down here so I can negate it. Fortunately, I can't rewind. I can rewind if I Field of Ruin on the Castle Ardenvale, though. Well, let's trade with a Linden. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, we might actually lose this game. Nah, there's so many things. There's so many outs we have. We have a Murderous Rider that can then come. Instant Speed. What can take care of a Shark Typhoon? I don't really think of anything in their deck that can. Not going to give it Lifelink. Spend your mana for some life? Nope. Okay, there's another Linden. So Helad's going to have a tough time. And we have a Maul now. There we go. There we go. Now we're in great shape. Could have gone for Fae here. Probably should have Field of Ruin that. In fact, yeah, let's go ahead and take care of it before it untaps. Get another blue. Yep. And there is a 1/1. It is going to be obnoxious, but once we get the Murderous Rider out, we've taken care of it. So, haven't seen a Maul of the Skyclave yet. I am going to... I think I'm going to rewind this. Because that still keeps up our mana for Negate or a Mauling. Two cards left in our opponent's hand. Yeah, it can gain some life. Ooh, yeah, that's actually going to be something that is going to be obnoxious. Yeah, let's just kill it. Okay, so Cling to Dust. Let's just run that out right now on our own. Nope, we can get rid of their Castle Ardenvale. And 3, 4, 5, 6. Like Shark Typhoon is like, I'm thinking, what does my opponent have left in their hand? And what I'm thinking is a Banishing Light. Because what else would not be cast? Like a Duplicate Heliod, a Banishing Light, a Maul of the Skyclave. And the Shark Typhoon I think is unnecessary. In fact, we're just going to do it for 4 because this is a win con right here. A 4/4 flyer is going to be win con. We draw a card to replace it. Okay, they're just going to scoop it up. So, let's see. I don't think that's going to get us over the top. Yep, 99%. Because that 93% has such a terrible elo. And let's play one more. Let's try to get ranked. See if we can finish off strong here. So you saw against mono red, you saw against mono white, you saw against rogues. Now let's see against probably going to be Yorion. Then I'm going to kick myself for getting into a Yorion matchup because it takes 9 years to play. So we have a Magic Man. All right. Give us a good one. This is not a good one. We have to see our first mulligan. And hey, look Yorion. This is a pretty bad hand versus... No, that's actually an excellent hand versus Yorion with the Maze Mind Tome. So we'll go ahead and ship it back. We'll keep this. We'll throw the Extinction Event on the bottom and call ourselves good here. Unfortunately, we don't have a Tome, which is where you want to be with this matchup. We do have a Castle Vantress, which will come in handy. And we do have a Shark Typhoon. Shark Typhoon is kind of awkward in this matchup because it just gets Elspeth Conquered Death. So Fae of Wishes we want to... Well, it depends on the flavor, too. We don't know the flavor of this Yorion yet. It could be the Dimir Yorion. So it runs like the Atris. Nope. Oh, so this is probably the traditional Yorion. We want to get this Fae of Wishes online as soon as possible. And that way we can rip out all the Elspeth Conquers Death or Dream Trawlers. I don't know. I don't know which one. I think Elspeth Conquers Death is more of the issue. I'm just going to cycle this. It seems like a bad play, but I definitely want to hit land drops. And yeah, I don't want to be missing land drops. So let's just Jawari's, Maze Mind Tome. Now we're in decent shape with that Maze Mind. So the Maze Mind could die to like a Skyclave. Also, our opponent has the Crawling Barrens, which is the problem card. So Plains down, kill my Maze Mind. I'm going to be pretty upset if that happens, but if this does last turn, we have the Neutralize up. Now I'm just going to go for an Omen. And I'm not going to scry. I think regardless of what we get is fine. So there's the Field of Ruin. Perfect. So we go Fae of Wishes, but we don't need to rip it out quite yet. What do we need? A Black Source? So that is fine. We can actually cycle a Shark Typhoon and kill one of these 1/1s if we really need to worry about it. And this is definitely the Yorion. Do I care? I don't care because we can always Field of Ruin. No, I don't care. This does turn it into... Oh, I can still pay 1 life. Yeah, Lithoform Blight's fine. Let's do it. Let's get us a 2/2. Probably get Heartless Act. Fine. That's fine. Okay, so Brazen Borrower can take care of one of them. Field of Ruin. We could go for Fave Wishes right now. Get rid of the Elspeth Conquers Death. Another thing we do is bounce and draw, which will... That's fine as well. Opponent is missing a land drop. Did not hit a land drop last turn. Or did they? My up a land. Did I go first? Don't need to worry about a neutralize. So we'll do it end step. So I'd rather take the damage here. Keep up neutralize. Just in case they want to, you know, cast something that I want to get rid of. We also would like to find our Lockmare to start exiling our opponent's graveyard. Don't want these cards coming back. Crawling Barrens could also... We could also Field of Ruin the Crawling Barrens and just go get another island. Opponent's thinking. Doom Foretold. Do I care about a Doom Foretold? Because I could flash in a Brazen Borrower. Opponent would have to sacrifice. I think I am going to neutralize it. There's a beautiful card. Let's just start off with a good old Cling. And we do hit our land drop in the form of a Swamp. And kind of want his Fave Wishes, but we can just keep our plan going. Yeah, I'm still okay with life. Just activate your Crawling Barrens and... Archon. Yeah, we don't care about an Archon. So I'm going to Field of Ruin the Crawling Barrens right now. So I can go get us an island. And then we'll Heartless Act on the Archon. And then I'm going to rip out Elspeth Conquers Death and call it good. And I think we're going to be in great shape after this because we'll have enough mana if we draw a land. So let's grab this island. And we're going to draw. No. Yeah, we can draw. No. Let's not draw. Let's Heartless Act. Except I just saw my folly of gave my opponent mana for the Omen to be flashed in. 1, 2, 3. Do I scry? I don't think so. Oh, sweet. We draw it anyway. So now we're going to Fave Wishes. And tap correctly. So tap there, there. And we'll get Necromentia. And then I am going to name Elspeth Conquers Death. So... 2 in the hand. Wow. And let's see what else our opponent has. It's a Doom Foretold list. We could have named Dance of Mance. but there we just got rid of a lot of targets. Okay, this is the Yorion, traditional Yorion, which is a little bit easier than Dream Trawler. So we do get my opponent to draw 2 cards, or get 2 zombies, that's correct. Ay, ay, ay. And Extinction Event's dead. I think my opponent just goes for the throat here. So, because we're going to be taking a lot of damage. We did get rid of the crawling barons, though. So I need to find an Extinction Event. Murderous Rider's kind of weird. I'm gonna throw it away. We can take care of 2 of the zombies. But I'm down to a 7. And we can cast a Fae of Wishes back. Yorion's kind of weird here. Oh yeah, I have to put it in their hand first anyway. Because they want to get this Omen out. Jeez, like Shark Typhoon's good here. Shark Typhoon is super good. Unfortunately, it's a tap land. Essence Scatter, I want it in my hand because we can counter the Yorion. Oh, because I can draw a card, counter the Yorion. Unfortunately, I think this is the better route to go. So we need to... I understand going the other route with the Shark Typhoon. We can kill a zombie. And we can... I'm just going to draw right now. No, there's no point to drawing right now. We can cast a... Draw... Yeah, cast is better here. Cast a Fae of Wishes. Draw Essence Scatter. We're still going to be taking 4, though. Or I can block one of the 1/1s. It's going to be close. This is going to be super close just from the damage from these. Because it takes us down to a 2. It's obviously we draw Essence Scatter. So I'm actually going to take out one of the soldiers. Gonna go Omen first, huh? Wants to get rid of my blocker. So now my opponent doesn't have mana. Oh, we don't know if my opponent has mana. So I can like Brazen Borrower. We're going to pass to blockers. We're going to block here, take 5, go to 2. But it gets rid of one of these guys. Hopefully my opponent throws down a blue source and we can counter the Yorion. This also put us in a weird Doom Foretold range that we do need to worry about. We have Cling to Dust, though, that can get us back as far as life total is concerned. We also are going at 4 life from Mazemind Tome. So all in all, I'm feeling pretty good. So this allows us just to draw a card and also allows us to Brazen Borrower the zombie. Now we have an eliminate. Like Shark Typhoon is super good here. Let's go ahead and draw a card though. Puts us back into, decent ranges if there's another Omen. We do need to keep up that mana for Yorion. So Shark Typhoon's pretty bad here. However, the Mazemind Tome is fine because that gives us Mazemind Tome. Yeah, this gives us some good use of our mana. A lot of fluff still left in my opponent's deck. Like, I actually worried about like another Omen coming down. That would be rough if it is another Omen. Nope, gonna sack an Omen. That's actually pretty good because that's like another Yorion down the road. So I guess my opponent's like digging for a Doom Foretold. We have a lot of answers for Doom Foretold, like flashing in Brazen Borrowers and sacking him to the Doom Foretold. So obviously we're countering Yorion, but that makes me wonder why my opponent wouldn't want to sack Yorion or sack the Omen to scry. I should have sacked Omen of the Sea. Oh, I didn't have the blue open. What you want to do, dude, is Extinction Event. That's what you want to do. I wouldn't mind that right now. Doom Foretold does indeed come down. Okay. That is going to be a pain. So there's the pass. We block. We flash in Brazen Borrower. We scry. Island is actually okay, but we'll... So now we can get rid of the Brazen Borrower. Bletchy's Thirst is actually bad. Shark Typhoon's bad now. I'm going to draw a card. That's not good either. Okay. Not in as good a shape as I wanted myself to be in. Opponent does have to get rid of something, though. And both of these are relevant to Yorion. So I'm going to go for the Omen. So I have one more blocker with Fae of Wishes. We will take care of this other one. So we take care of both soldiers. We're a healthy... I mean, actually will kill the Fae of Wishes to the Doom Foretold. I wonder if that's actually the better case, or just go the Maze Mine Tome. That's getting Essence Scattered. So I'm actually going to go to full control here, so we can actually I want to make a decision here, whether it's Maze Mine Tome that's better than Fae of Wishes, or Fae of Wishes is better. Because Fae can go get us more stuff. I'm going to say Fae of Wishes is actually better. Throw out a swamp. Chip in for a damage. Do I want to go Shark Typhoon here? Jeez. I don't know. I don't know what the correct play is. So I'm going to kill the Omen of the Sun and leave a Doom Foretold. At this point, is my opponent going to go Extinction Event? I think that's what's coming down. And if that's the case, we throw away the Bletchy's Thirst and the Pathway. We take a damage, but then we... Okay, so this is still better. So we're going to... Is there anything out of my sideboard that can take care of the Doom Foretold by bouncing it? I don't think so. So we're going to pay here. Ooh, but then that we have to get rid of something else. So if we go here, the Fae of Wishes goes back to our hand. Opponent's not going to keep their wall back. I might need to Cling to Dust just a creature just to give us life total, because we're taking 2 from the Doom Foretold. Or we could Thassa's Intervention. I think we're gonna gain some life. Pretty versatile little card. We have to give up the Thassa's Intervention now, which is fine. Opponent gets a card, it gets a 2/2. Shark Typhoon can come down. Not enough for a Shark Typhoon and a Cling to Dust is the problem. So we go Fae of Wishes. What does Fae of Wishes give us? We get -2, -2. Shark Typhoon still seems good, though. We have another one we can cycle. I'm going to go the safe route here. And just get something like... Do you know what? Elspeth's Nightmare seems pretty clutch. That actually does seem very, very clutch. Also gives us the Fae of Wishes back. That's Doom Foretold number 2, by the way. Gets us out of this Dance of Mance being a top deck. If Dance of Mance is a top deck, we just lose. Still think Elspeth Conquers Death is the right play over Dance. We kind of are in a pickle by creating those 2/2 zombies, though. And my opponent has to have it in hand right now. Does have mana for Dance of Mance to come back to. Is targeting the graveyard. No! Really? Well, that just sucks. Womp, womp, womp. One turn off. So, can I go get Extinction Event, though? Do I have enough mana to go get Extinction Event? So, 2, 4. If I draw a land, I do. If I draw a land, we are fine. Had to be a Dance of Mance. Had to... that just... You're killing me, Smalls. All right, so... We're going to let the Elspeth Nightmare die. We do have a draw. We do have a land. Okay, this sucks, though, because I believe I did the mana right. So 2 to bring back, 4, and then Extinction Event. Yep, we're fine. An Extinction Event gets rid of all of these. All of them. Yep. So, return. This is so horrible, though, these Shark Typhoons. Okay, autopay here. Yeah, autopay's fine. Now we granted... And now we don't misclick. We get Extinction Event. And we click even. Oh, the omens! The omens are odd. The omens are odd. Womp womp. Could I have done that? No, I was one off from the other one. Womp womp. So that was the only... Had to be a Dance of Mance. And did I look at my opponents? I thought they only had two in the entire deck when we were going through. So that was just bad luck. Bad luck. We had the game there with just like, you know, one more turn. Possibly I could have done something besides, like kept up. Probably not, though. I think that was the only option that I had at the time. Possibly I could have went and got Ugin. That's right. I could have granted for Ugin and then taken the 2 damage, and then Dance of Mance wouldn't have been an option. So is what it is. It did take our opponent getting some pretty good strings of cards there. The Elspeth Conquers Death never even came into play. Possibly Dance. Dance was probably the right play, the right card to name. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. With the Dimir, Yorion again is pretty 50-50. You saw how it could have gone either way. The rest of them though are just absolute. It's very interesting that the Dimir is not seeing any deck lists anywhere. And maybe it gets possibly just gets terrible post main when people get like access to what the shades from the sideboard or I'm trying to think what other cards they could run in. Like rogues could then go into a control route with like Shark Typhoons of their own. Possibly that might be the deciding factor for something like Dimir. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.